Coffee with James O'Reilly. How are you doing this morning? Monday, 7th of November. November 7th, 7 November. Very different ways of saying this. Anyway, what have I got in store for you today? Well, I'm going to be helping you with your business idioms, some popular buzz expressions in 2022. We're going to look at the news. We're going to look at word of the day, idiom of the day, slang of the day, saying of the day, many different things, but all in a relaxed atmosphere. And after we look at what was happening while we were sleeping, I also have an interesting article from the Guardian newspaper, the Guardian UK, in relation to swearing. So these are palabrotas and how it can affect you, or the type of people that people who swear a lot and its effect on those people. So let's have a look. Is it going to be positive or negative? We'll have a look at that. So let's jump in. First and foremost, we're going to get a bit of coffee. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I had a nice weekend myself, an opportunity just to slow down and recharge the batteries. Right, let's jump in. We're going to move over here. And of course, don't forget, James, to reduce yourself. Okay, so I'm bringing myself down here. It's the article we're going to look at soon in relation to swearing. First, we're going to just check and see what happened while we were sleeping. Ukraine, Lake Victoria, Iran, Twitter, news of the night. Okay, I'm not going to look at Ukraine because it's perhaps you guys are already up to date on Ukraine. It's very in the news quite a lot. I'm going to focus on this in Tanzania. Or I heard someone, I think the correct pronunciation, maybe more local pronunciation, is Tanzania, but I'm not entirely sure. Commonly in English, we'll say Tanzania. A plane crash in Lake Victoria kills 19 people. The aircraft, which had taken off in Dar es Salaam, the economic capital, crashed on Sunday while attempting to land in stormy weather in Bukoba, in the northwest of the country. Pan-African okay. The flight, operated by Tanzanian airline Precision Airflight, was carrying 43 people, including 39 passengers. The 2 pilots and 2 crew members. Okay, 39 passengers, the 2 pilots and 2 crew members. So overall, 43 passengers. 24 survivors were reported by the emergency services on site, in the location on site. If you're talking about business and so on, and you're talking about training, you could say the training will be online or on site, which means essentially in the office. Twitter is asking laid off employees to return. We're always going to come across these expressions: to lay off, to fire, to sack. So as you get used to following me on this stream, or this recording podcast, you will get used to more and more all of these expressions, and we'll be building up your vocabulary. So, Twitter having laid off dozens of the company's employees. The employees were recalled or asked back after being fired on Friday, along with half of the platform's workforce. This was reported by Fox Business. According to information from Bloomberg, the Bloomberg agency, some were fired by mistake and others were fired before management realized the importance of their expertise to build the new features envisaged by the new boss of Twitter, Elon Musk. Another Silicon Valley giant, Meta, Facebook and Instagram, the owners of Facebook and Instagram, is planning to lay off thousands of people starting this week, the Wall Street Journal revealed on Sunday. So the tech sector is going through a bit of a crisis at the moment, where you have these big companies, Facebook, Alphabet, I can't think at the moment, but Apple as well is in there. All of these There was like the big giant corporations, and Facebook has lost like 70% of its stock. So they're laying off people. Facebook, or Meta nowadays. Moving on, and a majority of Iranian MPs are calling for Taliban law against the rioters. In a statement signed by 227 of the 290 parliamentarians, or MPs, members of parliament, the elected officials on Sunday asked all the country's officials, including the judiciary, to punish the authors of the riots. Riots are disturbios in Spanish, which have shaken the country for several weeks. So this is to shake, and it also is used as an expression to cause worry in a country. All those who have incited rioters, including some politicians. According to L'Orient Le Jour, new demonstrations took place on yesterday, in universities in Iran and Kurdish regions in the northwest of the country. And this, despite the repression of the regime. So they are still continuing with their protests and their riots, even though the regime or the government are clamping down, or to clamp down. There's a good expression I want to use for you guys, which is crackdown. To crack down is to try and stop something. Against the protest movement, after the death of Mahsa Amini, the 22-year-old Iranian Kurd died 3 days after she was arrested in Tehran by morality police who accused her of breaking Islamic Republic's strict dress code. I went to Iran one time, I think I mentioned this, and it's kind of difficult because from what I could see in 2011, the most of the girls were if you're talking about a morality code, most of the girls that I saw were in breach, was breaking the morality code. So I suppose at certain times the morality police decide, okay, we're going to crack down, we're going to stop it again, and then the cycle begins over and over again. But in this case, somebody died and it's causing riots. Let's see what happens in Iran. Hopefully it will all work out well. So the next thing I want to look at, was this interesting article I found in The Guardian, which is, it's effing big and it's effing clever. This is what we say in English when we don't. Let me get rid of this image for a second. I'll get rid of that image so you can see. Okay, it's effing big and it's effing clever. And here we can see the asterisk signs. And a way of saying this in English, when you want to curse is swear, palabrotas. When you want to curse, we say effing. It's the F-U-C-K word. Why swearing makes you fitter, happier, and more persuasive. A new scientific paper has confirmed the power of curse words. We say curses, swear words, and not only to shock. So here is the kind of interview session. Let's go through it. Name, swearing, age, it varies. Some ancient words became profane over time. Other swear words are more recent coinages. Appearance, frequent, especially wherever people are trying to raise the subject of Jeremy Hunt. This is a British newspaper, so Jeremy Hunt is in the UK MP, Member of Parliament. All I know is it's not big and it's not clever. Actually, so it's basically two people talking here in the bold and the normal. Actually, it may be both. Are you calling my mother a liar? In fact, swearing is associated with many desirable conversational outcomes. Research suggests it can make you seem more persuasive. So swearing can make you seem more persuasive. Holy shit, indeed. It can also make you happier, fitter, and more impervious to pain. Impervious, a raincoat is impervious. It doesn't, impermeable, impervious. How does it work? There are still many unanswered questions about the nature of swearing, according to a new paper published in the journal Lingua. That's great. Any answered ones? One thing seems certain: swearing is powerful. It's capable of producing a range of distinctive psychological, physiological, and emotional effects. And some of these are positive? Yes. One study showed that subjects who swore could keep their hands in a bucket of ice water for longer than non-swearers. Chanting a swear word also increases muscle performance during physical exercise. There you go. I do that anyway, but only because I hate physical exercise. In addition, swearing has the power to strengthen social relationships and increase credibility. Research shows that text messages with swearing in seem more believable than those without. So if you're sending WhatsApp messages with swear words, they seem more believable than those without. So should I be swearing all the time then? No. Swear words still carry negative connotations, and swearing can easily be interpreted as impoliteness, direct disparagement of another person, or a general display of aggression. Context is everything. I understand, but I'm not sure how I can help myself. Please try. When we say I can't help myself, it's an expression to say I can't stop myself. So stop doing that. I don't know. I can't help myself. So it means I can't stop. Fiddlesticks. It's an old swear word. It's very polite nowadays. Actually, it looks if you could do it with the practice. Where does swearing get its magical power? We know it doesn't lie in the words themselves. Foreign language swearing doesn't produce the same reaction, and swear words hold less force for those who speak them as a second language. Right, I suppose so. For example, I'm learning Spanish, and people learning English, when they say in the words, swear words in English, it doesn't really mean much. Does that mean it goes back to childhood? Good question. One suggestion is that swear words produce emotional arousal because we were punished for using them as kids. But there isn't much empirical evidence to support the hypothesis. If not that, then what? Hard to say. Swearing is likely processed in a different part of the brain from other speech. Specifically, it may activate the amygdala and basal ganglia rather than high-order processing structures, says the study. I have no idea what that effing means. Me effing neither. Do say I find this scientific study highly credible thanks to its liberal use of the word, and I'm not going to say that because it's rude. Don't say F off all you effers. Okay. So it's kind of interesting. We do actually tell our children that swear words are bad, but it is all about context. I know, for example, I grew up in Dublin in Ireland, and swearing, and then later moved to the UK to study and live. And it does seem to me that in context in Ireland, swearing is more accepted. It's more of an emphasis, something similar to what I see where I live now here in Spain. It's quite common and it's not shocking. Whereas when you go to the United Kingdom, when people swear, it's common, but it kind of can mean more anger. I think it's the same in the United States. And also it's quite interesting what they say is we generally tell our kids not to swear. And then perhaps it becomes more enjoyable to swear as you get older because you were told not to swear. I had a situation yesterday with my son talking candidly or honestly to me. He said, "Oh, I want to say a swear word, but my brain wants me to say it, but I won't say it because I know I can't say it." And that's quite interesting because it mentions that in this article. So let me know yourselves. What is it like where you live? Do you swear a lot? How do people see it? I remember coming here first to Spain and being quite shocked as to how people swear in the workplace when I was working, and it was quite acceptable. And I come from, as I said, in Ireland, where we swear a lot in the context. And it was quite interesting for me to see. I understood how it was used here. I think some people, when they're learning a language, often say, I don't want to learn the swear words. But can you imagine if I came to Spain, for example, and I didn't learn the swear words? It's a very big portion of culture, of society, of the language. I do think they're important. People do them, say them all the time. But of course, you need to be careful in your work environment. And if you are working with a company from the United States or the UK, should be more, just be more careful. Don't use swear words unless you see other people doing the same. I think in Australia as well, they use a lot of swear words as well in Australia. And again, it's context. It's not so bad. It's part of the language. Personally, I'm a fan. I like it. Whereas I've gone to other places and swear words are just not used. Okay, so that's in the Guardian newspaper, and it was written by, doesn't say, so I can't give a shout out to that person. What do I want to do next? We have looked at what has happened at nighttime, and we have looked at swearing. Let me know what it's like for you guys. How do you feel swearing in English? Does it mean anything to you? Do you think it's a bit silly because you don't really get the feeling? Let me know if you want to make a comment. And I am going to move on now to, where am I? Okay, I wanted to see what was happening here. Right, this is the UK. We're going to get some words from this. So if I can just stop it. Yes, and I'll pause it. So we're going to look for some vocabulary here from some business news from LinkedIn, UK. Industrial action. Generally, when we talk about industrial action, it means strikes, huelgas. So when you hear about they're planning industrial action, it means strikes. Planned series of strikes suspended. RMT. RMT is a union, which is a sindicato, has announced that, let me make sure that you guys can see, well, it doesn't matter actually. The RMT union has announced that a series of strikes planned for Saturday, Monday and Wednesday, 5, 7 and 9 November. You can see the way they're doing the dates here in English. It is absolutely crazy. In English at the moment, we do not know how to write the dates. It should be ordinal, the 5th, 7th and 9th of November. This is LinkedIn UK. I could get angry about this because I am I want English to be perfect. But like I always say when I'm doing these things, English is very fluid. We don't have the RAI like in Spain where this is correct. We don't have a central body in English. So the language is always developing. And as you can see here, Monday and Wednesday, 5, 7 and 9 November. This is a big change in English because we're not using ordinals now. We're using just numbers. Much better for learners of English like you guys. If you're learning, this is much, much better for you, much easier. Next week have been suspended. Union boss Mick Lynch said that the workers' campaign, which saw walkouts take place across the summer and autumn, made the rail employers see sense. Let me have a look. Okay. This is a very famous union, in the most famous union in the UK. The unions, I think, in general, were broken by Margaret Thatcher in the 80s. But, so it's quite shocking for me, living in France, living in Spain, seeing how the sindicatos, the unions, are very strong. There's plenty of strikes. Whereas living in Ireland and the UK, didn't really see strikes at all. But this particular company is very, very successful. Their union is a very strong union, and they generally always win. So this is the people who work for the train, the tube service. The tube is the underground, and we'll try and see if we can get a video of Mick Lynch talking. Could be because he's very famous, a very much hated man in the UK, because there seems to be this idea of they when I was living in the UK and in Ireland as well, these people are seen as troublemakers, stopping people getting to work. The press, the media are always against these union leaders. So, and then the people reading the papers think, yeah, it's better to be against these people. But whatever way you want to look at it, these people, the guy before him as well, Bob Crow, was famous. He died, unfortunately, of cancer. And I think a lot of people were thinking conspiracy theories. Was he poisoned? Because he's just so successful. Let's see if we can get a video of Mick Lynch at a certain point. And we'll move on to number 2. Looking at, so this is tech. Musks' Twitter begins. I need to pause. I keep forgetting. Pause. Musk's Twitter begins mass sacking of global staff. So layoffs and sacking's the same. Mass means a lot. Twitter's mass layoffs. There we have it. Look, sacking, layoffs. Twitter's mass layoffs began today, with about half of its 8,000 global staff expected to be sacked. One employment lawyer told the BBC the cuts could breach UK employment law. Breach means to be illegal. New owner Elon Musk's controversial plans for Twitter come as companies including Volkswagen pause advertising on the site. Okay, so could be interesting to see it's going to be in the news a lot. And one thing I think about Elon Musk is he finds it very important to stay in the news. So he'll always be doing something. So don't worry, you will be seeing a lot of this guy. Labour market, which is the work market. UK ranks among and amongst is really the same. UK ranks among top 10. UK ranks amongst top 10 in global talent competitiveness. Switzerland is the world's most talent competitive economy due to its ability to train, attract, and retain skilled employees. Denmark moved into 3rd place, displacing the US in the annual ranking by International Business School, INSEAD, or INSEAD. Sweden, the Netherlands, Norway, Finland, and the UK also made it to the top 10. It's hilarious. If I were to do a top 10 of anything and I didn't do any work, I had to really get it to my boss, I would just put all the Scandinavian countries in the top because they're always in the top. So, top 10 global talent competitiveness. Train, attract, and retain skilled employees. Okay. So Sweden, the Netherlands, Norway, Finland. Perhaps it's true because, well, it's more than likely true. When I lived in the UK, I must admit, I didn't run into many Danish people or Swedish people, people from the Netherlands, people from Finland, Norway. If they were in the UK, they were there for study reasons, more so than just looking for economic work, looking for a new life, really. And I was surprised because the Netherlands is just next door, and I didn't really see many people from there. It was quite interesting. So that is quite possible. Well, I suppose it's true. INSEAD, INSEAD. The UK is in the top 10. Okay. Let's take a quick coffee break. Where do you think Spain is not very high, I would imagine. A lot of people are forced to leave here. But at the same time, I do understand if I were a Spanish student, if I were young, unmarried maybe, while I would like to stay here in Spain, and a lot of my students really want to stay, in order to get some experience and certainly to improve English, I would leave for a few years, get some experience, make sure I got a really good level of English, and then come back, because obviously it's a great country, and if you speak the language, or if you speak English, you have a better opportunity to find work, because it is, and you guys know, quite difficult and competitive here in Spain for the jobs. Coffee Morning with me, James O Reilly, and also in association with LK Formación, tailor-made solutions for your business, lkformacion.com. Check it out. We'll move on to our next one. Let's go. Idea of the day. The factors that help great teams win. Making sure various team members benefit from a shared mindset is one of the factors that can impact the success of teams, according to research, writes Marcus Cohnlein. They always seem to give me the difficult pronunciation names. Okay. The factors that help great teams win. Making sure various team members benefit from a shared mindset is one of the factors that can impact the success of teams. A shared mindset among team members in different locations with different cultures. Team leaders can achieve that by fostering a common identity and common understanding. That is by, okay, so we'd have to look into that, to be honest. But a shared mindset is a shared mentality. It seems to make sense, obviously. And it's quite difficult as well. One thing you learn when you are, for example, let's say I'm learning Spanish or you're learning English. Again, if you're learning English, but you're not learning culture, you're not learning what it's like to work with Australians, to work with people from New Zealand, Canada, the United States, United Kingdom, Ireland. Culture, I find, is quite interesting, because I, for example, would be learning Spanish. So I learn Spanish, but it doesn't mean I know anything about the Colombian mentality, for example. I live here in Spain, so I can learn. But it is something I would recommend. I find quite interesting as well, is the... there were some books as well. It's... when I was growing up, it was like everything you need to know about English people or Polish people or Swedish people. And it was very interesting. It's kind of like anthropological about their culture. So what cultures do you like to work with? What cultures do you find interesting or difficult? Let me know if you want to comment. I'm also over on YouTube. You can leave a comment for me there and give me a like. That would be great. Moving on. Today's debate. Should you look for a new role in a recession? This is by Michael Price, IT sales recruiter. I've survived 4 IT recessions. .com bust or burst, financial crisis, Brexit, pandemic, and hopefully we'll make it through a 5th. During each of the last 4, good companies kept hiring and good salespeople made good moves. If there's something wrong with your job, don't worry about the market. If you're good, you'll be just fine. Okay, so you should be flexible, and it looks like we are entering into another difficult situation. So, if you are, if you're good, you'll be just fine. Okay, so. Poll of the week. Why do many companies stick with conventional job titles? It makes go back. Why do so many companies stick with conventional job titles? It makes hiring easier, 48%. Traditional titles work fine, 36%. They're not creative enough, 13%. And other, 3%. So just makes hiring easier. Interesting. What I'm doing is quite commonly we say English teacher, but now there's business English coach, business English professional. It's very flexible. But when hiring, people are probably just putting in business English teacher or English teacher. So it makes hiring easier on platforms such as this one. Let's move on. And I want to go to our word of the day over here. Let's go. English word of the day. Let's look at our idiom of the day. Close this window. Never say die. Okay, it's our idiom of the day. The meaning. You say never say die if you want to tell someone to keep trying while there's still a chance of success. We were 2 goals down with only a few minutes to go, but our captain wouldn't give up. He was shouting, "Come on, guys, never say die." Okay, it's a motivational expression. After falling off his surfboard for the 100th time, Craig climbed back on and said with a laugh, "Never say die." Okay, never give up, never say die. Okay, yeah, I suppose so. I enjoy this website, englishclub.com, because sometimes I disagree. Phrasal verb of the day. To go off. Meaning. And when we have this number 1 here, it's just one of many meanings. If something goes off, it stops working because of a power cut. Some power lines came down during the storm and all our lights suddenly went off. Okay. So I could come out of the bedroom and say, what happened? The light in the bedroom just went off. So because it's in the past, went off. My new computer has batteries that will save my work if the power goes off in a blackout. Okay. To go off, one of the context meanings is it stops working. That was our phrasal verb, to go off. Another context of go off is your alarm. Your alarm goes off in the morning. Very common misunderstanding with learners of English is they will say, "My alarm sounded," which is just a false friend, really. What we say, in fact, is "my alarm went off." Very difficult for people to, I think, also to believe, almost, because it sounds so strange. So people still, I'm not sure if I've ever heard a student actually use it, because what they want to say, "it sounded," then they say, "No, I know it's not sounded," in their mind, I can see. And when they think of go off, they think that just sounds ridiculous, so I'm not going to say it. It is go off. That's what it does. A bomb goes off, explodes, it goes off, and your alarm goes off. So try to remember, if you say sounded, unfortunately in English that sounds very, very, I know, it's maybe like something a child would say, because they're so looking for the easiest, if you go to the rocks by the beach and they hurt you, would normally say the rocks are very spiky, but a child will say the rocks are very ouchy, because you say ouch, ouch. So very ouchy. And it's like when you say my alarm sounded, it sounds very childish. So get used to it. My alarm went off, or my alarm goes off at 6 o'clock every morning, 7 o'clock every morning. It goes off at 8 o'clock. It goes off. Try and get that into your mind and try and say it in your mind. Okay. Of course, when I say it sounds childish, I don't want to offend people, but I'm just being honest. I'm just being frank. I'm being honest. Now, slang of the day. Let's go. Slang is our palabra. Okay. Slang is 0. A worthless person. Someone who's done nothing worthwhile in life. Clive is such a 0. He spent his whole life stacking shelves in his father's shop during the day and watching television in his room at night. Those neighborhood gangsters think they're heroes, but as far as we're concerned, they're nothing but zeros. Okay. No eres nada. You're a 0. Common expression that you hear is from 0 to hero is a common expression. From zero to hero. From nothing to being somebody very important. And our saying of the day. Okay. Rags to rags in 3 generations. The first generation in the family makes money, goes from rags to riches. The second generation holds or keeps the money, and the third generation squanders or loses the money. So goes back to rags. We had a situation the other day, or an expression, from rags to riches. If you can think of anybody who was poor and then became famous, like a lot of sports stars, for example, perhaps let's think of Cristiano Ronaldo, his family. Let's imagine, I'm not saying that they were really poor. Let's imagine they were really poor and he had a very tough time. His shoes were, terrible when he was young. And then now you look at him now, we'd say from rags to riches. Rags are terrible old clothes to riches. And this one is from rags to rags in 3 generations. Okay, I never heard this before, but it's interesting. Yes, rags, old, tattered clothes. Generation, all of the people, we know what that is. All right. So that's that one. We've gone through all of those. We've gone through our swearing. We've looked at LinkedIn. We've looked at sayings. And now I want to look at... Yes. One thing I'm going to reiterate and go over many times is good business expressions, because I believe... Well, I know what I know, which is when I learn an expression in Spanish, I forget it. And I need to hear it a few times before I get it, or I need to become familiar. So I will be going over these expressions. If we see them and say, oh yeah, I saw that before, it doesn't matter. We need to go over them again. So let's start at the top. Ahead of the pack. These are top common business idioms. Let's think about your business in here. Ahead of the pack, to be more successful than the competition. If we want to stay ahead of the pack, we'll have to increase our marketing budget. If your company wants to be ahead of its competitors, ahead of the pack, ahead of the competition, you'll have to increase your marketing budget, presupuesto, budget. Back to square one. To start something over again because a previous attempt failed. To make this software finally work, we have to go back to square one. Okay, we have to go back to the start. Back to square one. Something's wrong and we just have to start all over again. Ballpark number, ballpark figure. A number and a figure. A figure is a synonym for number in financial terms. When we talk about figures, we're talking about numbers. Ballpark figure is a very inexact estimate. It's an approximation. So aproximadamente, can you give me a number? To give you a ballpark figure, how much the border wall to Mexico is going to cost, I would say about approximately $30 million. So if someone says, how much is something going to cost? And you say, I don't know, but it will be expensive. And they'll say, well, give me a ballpark figure. Give me an approximation. So, well, I don't know, around $30 million. It's more common for us to say around than approximately. Approximately, I hear used quite often with my Spanish students. Just to let you know, it's more common in English to say around. Approximately is fine though. Big picture. Everything that is involved with a particular situation. The big picture. Working on all of these details, we have lost sight of the big picture. Okay, the big picture is everything that is involved with a particular situation. Okay, I hope these are useful for you, and it's very good and enjoyable, I think, to use these in your work. If you remember one, just use one. Just use one per day that you can remember. I'll go through these many, many, many times. So hopefully, as we progress through this series of streams, by the end, you will have them internalized, okay? Or somehow you will remember. Okay, the next one then is by the book, which is to do things exactly according to the rules or the law. So do things by the book is just to do it the way it's supposed to be done. We told our auditors that we do everything by the book. And that's what the politicians tell us, don't they? We do everything by the book, but we all know that they're lying. Coffee morning with me, James O Reilly, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:30 to 9:30. And I'm getting a dig at the politicians, okay? Corner the market. At the top here. To corner the market is to dominate a particular market. Amazon more or less corners the online retailing market. When you think about ordering something online, you automatically think about ordering on Amazon. Okay. When you think, let's say, when you think about searching something online, you might automatically think about Googling something. It's a verb. So they've cornered the market of the search engines. Not necessarily, but you could say that. Next is cutthroat. Cutthroat. Very intense, aggressive, and merciless competition. Competition in the food retailing business is cutthroat. So when you've got companies like Lidl, Dia, Carrefour, Aldi, all these supermarkets. If I've forgotten your supermarket, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but it's very cutthroat. Okay, it's intense, it's aggressive, it's just competition. Where you have, who else do you have? Auchan, which is Alcampo. Let's see what other ones I can remember off the top of my head. Popular in the UK, Mercadona, of course, is the most popular in Spain, I think. And in the UK, the popular ones are Tesco, Waitrose, Morrison's. I think Waitrose, I was talking to my wife the other day, and Waitrose is like in the UK is considered like food shopping in the Corte Inglés. So the Corte Inglés is seen as probably the most expensive place to shop, and Waitrose is like this, or Marks and Spencer's as well. Marks and Spencer's in the UK, but Waitrose in general would be at the top there, like just expensive. Premium, if you like, whatever way you want to frame it, I don't know. I'll say expensive and you'll say premium, so you decide. Easy come, easy go is the next one. Something gained easily is also lost easily. I lost 500 euros in a poker game last night, but that's life. Easy come, easy go. Okay, I'd like to know what that is in Spanish because it's so commonly said. Easy come, easy go. Next is game plan. A strategy or plan for achieving success. What is our game plan for dealing with our new competitor? Okay, what's the game plan? What are we going to do? Easy enough. You don't need to complicate it anymore. What are we going to do? What is the game plan? What is our game plan? If you think about Pep Guardiola with the board, and he's saying, okay, guys, this is what we're going to do. This is the game plan. Get down to business. I always want to write get down to business on this board behind me, but it takes too long. I have to look for all the letters, but get down to business. Right. Stop making small talk and start talking about serious business topics. Now that everyone is here, let's get down to business and start with the presentation. Okay. if I do an introduction to this stream and I'm saying, okay, and then I'm ready to go, I feel it's time, I'll go, okay, let's get down to business. Let's get serious. Get something off the ground. To get something off the ground is to start something, e.g., a project or a business. Now that we've finished the planning phase, we're eager to get the project off the ground. To get something started is to get it off the ground. We think about a plane, maybe it's on the ground and we want it to start flying, to get it off the ground. The next one, I'm going to look up the meaning. And what I think you guys should do, and I really recommend, it's very surprising, but I really recommend getting on the first page of your mobile device a dictionary. Because in the old days, you would bring a dictionary to class, but now that everything is at hand or at our fingertips, I think we're even more lazy. But I find this very good. I use word reference, free dictionary, and I want to see what drain is in Spanish. Desagüe. Desagüe. So to go down the desagüe, to go down the drain, is when something is wasted or lost. All our efforts in entering this new market went down the drain. So something is wasted. So when something goes down the drain, it's all wasted, it's all lost. All our hard work has just gone down the drain. Desagüe, drain. If you don't remember the expression, remember drain. Because we also have an expression in English, which is perhaps when you have countries, let's say like Iran, Syria, countries with authoritarian regimes, and the people, the intelligent people leave, we say brain drain. So the brains go down the drain, they leave the country, brain drain. It's a common expression in English. Okay, it's a common one here. Go the extra mile, to do more than what people expect. I'm sure a lot of you expect your employees to go the extra mile above and beyond their duties, or if you're working for a boss, they expect you to go the extra mile, to do more than what is expected. To give our customers the best shopping experience, we go the extra mile. Okay, very common if we're talking about all of these supermarkets. We go the extra mile. I'd like to know what the motto of these supermarkets is. I do not know the market. Well, this is you guys listening from the supermarkets, because a lot of you have a lot of people from supermarkets on here, and I would like to know what your motto is, because in the UK a very famous one was Tesco, and then their little motto was every little helps. Every little helps. Tesco. And it would show somebody patting their pocket, like saving a bit of money. So I would like to know what the motto is for Mercadona, Lidl, Aldi, Dia, Alcampo. Who have I missed? Supersol? They were bought. Well, anyway, you guys let me know if I've missed anyone, and tell me what your motto is for your supermarket. I would love to know. And we can have a competition to see who has the best one. Right. On to the next one. I really like these business expressions. Hands are tied. Not being free to behave in the way that you would like. I'd love to help you, but my hands are tied. Typical maybe when you ask for an increase in your salary to your manager, it's like, I'd love to help you, but my hands are tied. You know, let's talk about it in April. And then April comes and it's like, well, let's wait until the end of the year. Okay, my hands are tied. I'm unable to help. I'm not, because of legal reasons, because of my boss, because of my hands are tied. I'm not being able to help. I've written the next one before. I wrote this one on the board behind us. It means basically. It means in a nutshell. So if you want to say basically, which is very common in English to say basically, but if you want to say something quite quickly and explain something using as few words as possible, in a nutshell. So what was that meeting all about? Well, in a nutshell, they're going to lay off 1/3 of the employees. In a nutshell, we will run out of cash in 3 months' time. That's the way it is. In full swing. In full swing is at a stage when the level of activity is at its highest. Construction of our new production site is in full swing now. Okay, it's all go. It's at the height of activity. Everything is going really well. Or not necessarily really well, but activity is at its highest. In the driver's seat, to be in charge or in control of a situation. Being offered the position of managing director, I'll soon be in the driver's seat. The driver is the person driving the car. In the driver's seat. Okay, to be in charge or in control of a situation. Let's do a few more before we end. Keep one's eye on the ball. Okay, let's keep our eye on the ball. Okay, the football, keep your eye on the ball, keep focused, to give your full attention and don't lose focus. Okay, so when you're trying to motivate your team, it's important, guys, to keep our eye on the ball. Let's not slip up. We should not diversify our product offering too much, but rather keep our eyes on the ball. Okay, just keep your eye on the ball. Keep focused. Keep focused. Learn the ropes. Learn the basics of something, like a job. I'm learning the ropes in my new position. Okay, to learn the ropes and to show somebody the ropes. If somebody comes in, you want to show them how things work around the business, around the company, and to copy someone, show how things are done. Just say, okay, James, can you show Martha how? Can you show her the ropes? Can you show her how we do things? Or show her the ropes. Okay, and then Martha goes home. Yeah, I'm just learning the ropes at work now. Just learning how things are done. Next is Longshot, something that has a very low probability of happening. Winning the lottery is a long shot. Sometimes we come up with an idea that seems a bit, where often you'll see in films, we're talking about business idea, and they're in the meeting and nobody can come up with a good idea, and then somebody says, I have an idea. It's a long shot, but it might work. So it's something that is it has a low probability of happening or working, but it's an idea, it could work, and often you see this in films. Let's do 2 more. No-brainer. Something that's really obvious or easy. Making money working for an investment bank is a no-brainer. Okay, well, I'll give a better idea. Was just something is so obvious that you should think about it. It's a no-brainer. It's obvious. It's a no-brainer. If you are given the opportunity to work for a certain company and it will give you lots more money, or lots more people will think you're better, or something, it's a no-brainer. You leave your company and you go to that company. It's a no-brainer. It's obvious. Finally, no strings attached. Something is given without involving special demands or limits. They will let you try the product for free with no strings attached. It's a common expression in English. Often for example, here's the thing. When you have an application or something is free online and you go in and you try to use it for free, sometimes there are strings attached, which means you have to do something. You have to give them your information. You have to give them your bank details. If you want something for free, it will be free for 14 days or a month. But after that, you're going to have to pay. So if I say something like, you can try this for free for a month, no strings attached, that means nothing is attached. You don't have to do anything. So I think in Spanish it's sin compromiso. Sin compromiso. No strings attached. Okay, so let's look at more of those later on. Some great expressions there. And as time goes on, you will get more and more used to them. It's Coffee Morning with me, James O Reilly. Really good to have you here with me on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. And I'm hoping to help you with your English and bring your level up. And if you stay, as you can see, news, vocabulary, pronunciation, expressions, I'm on every week, 3 times a week. One thing is guaranteed: if you're here, if you're listening to me, you can contact me, you can leave a message. I will get back to you and I will be helping you with your English. The only thing you need to do is just get online. And later, if you go over to YouTube, you will be able to see with the subtitles once it is uploaded. Here, if you're watching on LinkedIn, for example, it's great for your listening. It will build it up, and before you know it, you'll be challenging your listening. Last thing I want to do quickly is, like I said, was to find what was it called? If I can quickly get back and find out what his name was. What's his name? Mick Lynch. Let's quickly get a Mick Lynch video. Mick Lynch, Mickly. And have a listen to this guy. This is Mick Lynch, the guy.
Tengo un plan para nosotros. Casaos conmigo, Camille.
No puedes fiarte. Es el amor o la guerra. No hay términos medios.
Es la guerra.
Let's get a minute of Mick Lynch before we go. We have to go through the ads.
Mick Lynch, who's the man leading the strike today for the RMT, is waiting for us at Euston Station. Mr. Lynch, good morning to you. It's going to be a busy day for you today. Can we just get one thing nailed to the wall before we get going here? You've been accused severally in the last few weeks of being a Marxist. It happened again last night. A backbench Tory MP said you were a Marxist with no interest in anything other than trying to tear down the government. Now, are you or are you not a Marxist? Because if you are a Marxist, then you're into revolution and into bringing down capitalism. So are you or aren't you?
Richard, you do come up with the most remarkable twaddle sometimes, I've got to say.
I didn't say you were a Marxist. I'm saying that you're
nonsense.
being accused of being a Marxist, and that's not
You're
twaddle.
asking me if
That's called reporting.
No, I'm not. I'm not a Marxist. I'm an elected official of the RMT. I'm a working class bloke leading a trade union dispute about jobs, pay and conditions of service. So it's got nothing to do with Marxism. It's all about this dispute. It's an industrial dispute, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. I emphasise, I am not talking.
So that is Mick Lynch, and that is from a former industrial dispute. That other programme that you can see is from Good Morning Britain, so I do recommend having a look, see what you think. If you want to improve your listening, that's Mick Lynch, very one of the most well-known figures in the United Kingdom, and he will be in the news in the next, always in the news. So thank you very much for watching. Extremely delighted to be with you, and I shall be online again on Wednesday at the same time. So have a great Monday, and I'll see you on Wednesday. All the best.